Arty friends! So today I wanted to talk a little bit about handling glows in watercolor. There are numerous ways we can do that. We can do it by just working around our area of glow. We can do that by creating a wax resist or by masking it off and filling it later. I'm going to demonstrate a few of those techniques today. We are going to start with the technique I use the most often for 7-inch Cara, which is just sort of reserving my area. So we're going to do some yellow glows. So we're starting with a concentrated area of color. We're going to clean out our brush. Then we're going to use that clean water to extend our glow around. So you guys can kind of see we got some glow. Then we're going to have another, we're going to wash out the brush again. Have another area of clean. Then I'm going to grab some blue. And working it wet into wet so that we get nice diffused glow. And then from there we can work even more concentrated. So that is one method of doing glows, utilizing wet into wet, working fairly quickly. Another, let's say you don't really have the option to work that fast or to work that large. So we're going to move over here. We're going to create our area of glow. Unfortunately, there's still some blue in there. We're going to work wet into wet. I'm trying to pick up some of that nasty eggy color out. There we go. So that's still wet. We can actually go in now with concentrated color, drop that into the middle there, and that'll diffuse out as well. And blend that out to clear, and then give that a chance to dry, and then go over it with the blue. So after your blend out has had a chance to dry, you can then go in, and I would add a ring of clean water, or as clean as possible. And this is really good, a good solution if you're painting a lot of different glows, like if you're painting fireflies or something and there's no way for you to be able to get it all done at one time, or if you're doing multiple pages, that sort of thing. Like this comes up pretty frequently in Cara, and I utilize this technique a lot. And then while it's still wet, so you can pretty much get the same effect even if you have to like wait and go back and redo it like this. Then let's say you have a lot of little glows, so we're going to grab yellow. We're going to do like a bunch, and it's got that blue in it. I apologize for the eggy color. And then we're going to blend them out a little bit. And then clean that out. Blend that out a little bit. And I am using really cheap paper, so you're going to get better blending if you use nicer paper. This is the bulk Canson paper I've talked to you guys about before. And it's okay for demonstrations, but it's terrible for more detailed paintings. I'm going to put a little dot of more intense yellow in the middle so that it'll diffuse. And then we're going to give these a chance to dry. So these aren't entirely dry, but they don't have to be. I have a bit of clear wax crayon here. And what I can do is not only cover most of my glow, and I'm doing it in kind of like a cute spiral thing, but you can do it in like radials or radiating lines. I can demonstrate that later. If you guys need to see that, just let me know in the comments. But the wax basically prevents the watercolor from soaking into the paper, creates a resist. And it's really useful in a lot of ways, but doing glows is one of the super useful ways to do it. And we're going to just mix up like a lot of the blue. And then we can just do a wash over it like this, and we get this really neat spiral kind of glow. So it's kind of more hand of the artist, maybe a little more primitive, but it definitely has a lot of personality. It's also a little bit like doing a magic trick. And then what's even cooler about this is we can go in with a darker blue or more saturated blue, and we don't even have to do the whole thing. We can just go in areas and darken it a little bit. So you guys have probably seen me work with wax resist on some of my commission tutorial videos, and if you are looking for more on wax resist, you should definitely check those out if you haven't yet. So we're going to cover another method of doing glows. And there's loads of methods for this. There is not any one way to do this. There's loads of ways. I'm just showing you a few of my favorites. So we're going to create our eggy yellow glow. Pick up some of the excess and then drop some more yellow in the middle so that we get a little more saturated color. I'm going to let that dry completely, and then we're going to cover it with masking fluid. And I have another mini tutorial here on the channel on using masking fluid, so if you're not familiar with masking fluid, you can check that by clicking the card right here. But this needs to dry completely, and we're going to need a synthetic brush before we can use the masking fluid. So when we're working with masking fluid, the area you're covering needs to be 100% dry. Otherwise, it can like over adhere and then really not want to come up from the paper. My paper, this area is still not dry enough for me to use it. However, if you are using masking fluid, I do have a tutorial on how to use it and how to get set up for that. But a quick primer, you're going to want to use a synthetic brush or a brush that you can toss. Some people like the Incredible Nib. You're going to want to use the Master, well, I like to use this kind of brush soap, but really any kind of soap to help protect your bristles is a good idea. And of course the masking fluid of your choice, and I'm using Colorless Winsor & Newton masking fluid here. Alright, there we go. Nice and dry. So I am going to apply my brush, all nice and slopey. I'm going to apply some masking fluid on top of the glow and even maybe around the glow to create sort of a white area, radius of the glow even. And then I need to let that dry before we can apply a wash of color on top of that. Masking fluid is dried. I'm going to go ahead and use the same blue and apply a wash over this. And you can just slap it right there on top of your glow because you masked it out so it's protected. And there's even a little bit of a resist effect. And then we need to allow this wash to completely dry before we can remove the masking fluid. There's still, nope, it's all dry. I'm gonna say there's still a little bit of blue paint pooled, but apparently not. So I'm using a masking fluid pickup and picking it up also by hand, because sometimes if you have a little bit of paint on your masking fluid, your pickup will pick that up too, and then smear it into the area you want to reserve. This kind of looks like an egg in the sky. But hopefully, other than the smearing, I might need to just replace my eraser because this has been a really frequent problem. But hopefully you kind of get the idea that you can use masking fluid to mask off your glow areas and create a glow effect, and then you don't have to worry about painting around things. You can just go ahead and cover the area. And that looks terrible, but again, I hope you guys can get the picture. So that was 4 different ways that you could do very basic glow techniques. A lot of them rely on some form of wet into wet. It is your friend. It is a super handy way to achieve these sort of techniques. I hope you found this demonstration helpful, informative, and maybe even inspiring, and I hope you'll check out my other tutorials, not only on this channel, but over at natosoup.blogspot.com as part of my watercolor basics series. I will see you guys again really soon with another great tutorial. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye, guys!